little Ryan was a destructor of many things. Walls, plates, cups, books, I mean, trees, you name it. Like, I was always somebody that would like, for lack of a better terminology, like erase everything and start over. So I was an idiot in school. The school was 13 years of self-doubt because now I know I'm not good at math. I'm not good at science. I'm not good at geography. But here I was in a system that I had to, whatever the creativity or whatever that I was supposed to do, what I was good at, was all pressed down. In school, your entire value is in that report card. Even though that report card doesn't have enough facets to judge your value. You may not be on mathematics, you may not be on history, but the scale in which you should be measured is not in the report card. I have a mentor to which I credit a lot of my success, and it was not something that I identified. I don't want to lie to you. My mentor, he came to me one day and he said, I know this guy who's doing digital marketing, so on and so forth. He said, I see you, you have that capability to do the same thing. Because I trusted him on that word, I started. Being authentic takes guts. You know why? You have to own up to every single flaw you have. It's like this, if you're an actor, right? It's the easiest role an actor can play is themselves. The hardest role they play is when they have to embody somebody else. You have to always keep encouraging yourself to take the journey. If you don't, no matter how creative you are, you can end up behind a desk doing an idea.
Hi, welcome back to the Creative Odyssey Podcast. My name is Sheran, and today we are at Hatch in Sri Lanka, a startup hub where creativity and technology kind of meet and inspire creativity and change. Creativity doesn't just belong in the arts. Creativity shows up in the way we build, how we bounce back, and how you can brand something from scratch. And Ryan Rodrigo has this amazing story about how he has done that. So Ryan, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start right away. What do you think makes a brand start out creatively today, especially in a saturated space like you're in? Tell us a bit about what you do.
Alright, so a bit of a background to me.
Yeah.
Currently, I work as the head of marketing for Pepper Street. Right? Okay. I believe when it comes to products more or less are the same. You can buy a t-shirt from a certain location.
Yeah.
And if the brand really wants to add value to it, there'll be a value, but more or less it's the same. If you check all the global brands, Nike, Under Armour, you go to the place, you check the fabric, you check the composition, you check the stitching, you feel like more or less it's the same thing.
Right.
But what makes Nike, what makes Under Armour,
Mm-hmm.
and what makes Pepper Street, is how they've decided to position themselves, how they've decided to tell their story.
Mm-hmm.
What is their take? Why are they here? Why are they doing what they do? So I think that is the main thing.
Very cool. So you scaled Pepper Street really fast. And how did you decide on a visual style and voice?
Yeah. So I think before I get into that answer,
Yeah.
I want to give credit where credit is due, right? So my two directors, Dylan, Fernando, and Basit Yakub, they are the founders and directors of Pepper Street, right? Building a brand or scaling a brand is not just about, you can't simply be creative only to build it. So they have a brilliant finance minds in our directors, they have brilliant organizational minds. So these are the people that spearheaded it so that I have room to be creative, right? And how we did that in the local market is, we had somewhat of a first move advantage, right? But then when it came to building Pepper, what we identified was, okay, we have this good product. Now, like I said, remember, there are products.
Yeah.
More or less, it's the same.
Right.
But we had the ability to create a product in-house, in our own factory here in Sri Lanka. And what we did was we identified, okay, we have great product. How do we make this visible? And in what light do we show it to the consumers? Right? So in that journey, what we decided was, okay, we take the brand, we build the story, and it was easy because the story already existed.
Right.
All we had to do is sit down and say, this is the story, this is our journey, this is simply what we want to do. And in that journey, what we did was we simply brought together all these elements and added the spark of creativity. It wasn't something that was simply, we looked at someone and said, we want to do that. No. A lot of people do that nowadays. I think that's where the creative strain and stuff like brain rot come into play nowadays. But what we did was we knew we had a good product. We took product, we took that product, we added our spark, and that is how we got Pepper to that growth point short while after launching the brand. Like I told you before, as I joined, as they hired me, in a span of 6 months initially, we had a massive growth. And the main reason to do that was I remember going to Basit and telling Basit, this thing nobody else has done. Sometimes, to people that may be like a scary thing.
Right.
Because he used to look at me as if I was crazy, but he's a brilliant man, and he always said, yeah, go for it. So in doing certain things that hadn't been done in the market, the Sri Lankan consumers hadn't seen it. This style of content they hadn't seen. This style of model they hadn't seen. In a world where people always try to go towards foreign models only, at that particular season we went with solely local model. We built stories around, like example, I remember we did this drop called the Freedom Drop at our initial stages. And I just came up with the name because it was an oversized collection, right? So freedom, as it it's relaxed and all of that. I did the entire campaign in front of the Independence Square in Sri Lanka while getting permission from the necessary authorities, which took me close to about 1.5 to 2 weeks.
Wow.
Right? And still, they didn't let us shoot inside. We had to shoot close by so we could just see the building. Yeah.
Right.
And we pushed this freedom collection. We gave some stories. We spoke about the country. We spoke about, how as Sri Lankans, we are free, so on and so forth. And we brought all of that into perspective. And in that storytelling, plus that good product that we had now, that's basically how we sparked.
We're so excited to share with you all of the episodes that we filmed in Sri Lanka. We know a lot of you have been waiting, but we wanted to make sure that we did this really meaningfully because it really was an exciting time. When Sheran first came to me and said he was going to take the podcast to Sri Lanka, I honestly thought he was crazy.
And so did I. I was like, is there any possibility we can fit this in? I want to try to bring the podcast there and get to know people and interview creatives. So
we expected to have just a few conversations, maybe a little sparks of inspiration here and there, but what happened was so much deeper than that. We met so many people that not only you got to interview, but that also came alongside us to help make these conversations happen.
The crazy thing was this daring idea of going to a country, even though I'm from Sri Lanka. I hadn't been back for 7 years. And all I knew was some people from school that I went to and some on social media that I've been following, but didn't really have a concrete plan to make it happen. And some days we had 6-7 episodes back to back recorded because people were waiting and you were kind of facilitating that.
Yeah, so it felt really significant because not only was it that we were having these raw and authentic conversations, but a lot of their stories resonated with Sheran's, and so it just was really fascinating to see them speaking the same language and to see just this commonality of creativity and identity and purpose coming out as the themes of these conversations.
You must be wondering when this trip happened. It happened in September, and the goal was to get these episodes out by December or last year. Well, a lot of things happened, and I didn't want to diminish the work we put in, and again, the amazing guests that we've had. So we decided to do something really cool, and we're going to post however many we can a week.
So linked in every single episode, you'll find a free PDF. It's actually a magazine that we developed. You can kind of think of it like if you go to a concert and you get the souvenir of what happened behind the scenes and just about the different artists and all those things. We wanted to share with you not only about Sheran's journey, but then help you connect with some of the guests that we interview in Sri Lanka, and then invite you on your own creative odyssey.
Yes, there's so much more that goes into or that fuels this podcast, which is this mission to inspire people to create so that they can get to know themselves and connect with their inner child. So to see that we could bring that story out of Sri Lankan creatives, a wide, diverse range of creatives, was definitely a highlight.
Our hope is that whether you're living in the States, you're living in Sri Lanka, or somewhere else around the world, you'll connect with someone's story within Sri Lanka, and it might inspire you to continue on your own creative odyssey.
The link to the PDF, the magazine, is in the description, and please check it out. They're doing really cool things that I really think you should be checking out to see their journeys. So without further ado, let's get to the episode. So I know a little bit that you are a creative person, you're a musician, and all of that stuff. So I wasn't gonna ask you this, now I'm curious. So what was little Ryan like, and was you always a creative? And how did all of that kind of play into where you at?
Little Ryan was a destructor of many things. Walls, plates, cups, books, trees, you name it. I was always somebody that would like, for lack of a better terminology, like erase everything and start over.
Okay.
So even if you would, I don't know if they're around anymore, if you could find one of my school writing books,
Yeah.
above every writing book you would find like doodles of random things. My go-to used to be the cross because it was the easiest to draw, and then glamour around it. Right? So there were so many things like that. But little Ryan composed his first song when he was about 10 years ago, I remember.
Wow.
Like, interesting. The lyrics were "My name is Badazaria." It was a song about food. So that's how it all came into being. And thanks to my mom, I had the privilege of working with a brilliant producer, Shiraz Yusuf. He's a rapper, and just for the heck of it, he produced the song for me.
No way.
Yeah. So even back in the day, when it talking about creative, see the thing with me, and I think it's a problem with a lot of Sri Lankans as well. Our school system necessarily doesn't encourage creativity.
Right.
So I was an idiot in school.
Ah, same here. Too. That's my story too, right here.
So-
Like, I thought I was smart enough.
Yeah, like so to me, school was 13 years of self doubt, because now I know I'm not good at math, I'm not good at science, I'm not good at geography, but here I was in a system that I had to, whatever the creativity or whatever that I was supposed to do, what I was good at was all pressed down. So I was stuck in a system of, oh my god, I'm a failure. But the creativity used to spew out here and there.
Yeah.
There was this one time, for the heck of it, I did a Western and Eastern drama in school, and I ended up getting an award for it.
Wow.
But it wasn't something that was encouraged.
Right.
Even for playing that part in a single drama in school, it was a very tough journey for little Ryan. But then again, I believe it was that journey that graduated, because the moment you're done with school,
Yeah.
it's a sense of freedom. So then, when you give it some space, you'll notice, oh, you're kind of creative.
Talk to me about that process. How did you come to that conclusion of no, I have value, I am a creative?
It's like this. I'll be very honest with you. I have a mentor to which I credit a lot of my success, and it was not something that I identified. I don't want to lie to you. My mentor, he came to me one day and he said, I know this guy who's doing digital marketing, so on and so on. He said, I see you, you have that capability to do the same thing. Because I trusted him on that word, I started.
How old was this?
This was, I believe, in around 2017.
So that would be like, what age would you be?
I would have been somewhere between 19, 20. Yeah, somewhere.
Wow, so that's like really cool that it happened at such a young age.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blessed. So the thing was, when he told me that, I already knew, because I would feel it. Like, I used to be obsessed with stuff like comics and how they would draw it and how they would come up with an entire story just with a pen and a paper and some colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when it came to music, I believe I started playing the organ when I was about 6, 7 years old, based on what I heard.
Wow.
So my mom used to be like, I don't know how he does it, but he does it. My parents are both musicians.
Oh,
I want to point that out as well. So it could be in the genes, it could be in the blood, whatever it is. But so from those early stages, it started, spewing out.
Yeah.
When I got that information, when you said, no, I see you doing this kind of thing, I said, okay. And that's how this journey started.
So I'm even more curious now, going out of the topic, but also valuable. Your parents are musicians.
Yeah, my
Right.
parents were musicians.
Right.
My mom sings here and there now, same with my dad.
Sure.
My mom's an engineering consultant, something. Not
Cool.
really sure.
So my question is, even if your parents were musicians, whatever, how come society was still able to influence you to a point where you would think of yourself as not valuable?
It's like this, right? In school, your entire value is in that report card.
Yes.
Even though that report card doesn't have enough facets to judge your value. You may not be on mathematics, you may not be on history, but the scale in which you should be measured is not in the report card. I hope they're doing okay, but I really don't want to see them ever again, my teachers. Because I remember school being a painful experience. I'll be honest with you and your viewers. I wasn't good at it because it wasn't my forte. I have around 11 to 12 certificates where I have won best singer in the entire grade, right?
Yeah.
But that didn't matter, because if you fail in math, you're gone.
Yeah. It was a hobby, right?
Yeah, it wasn't encouraged.
Yeah.
They didn't look to it as it is now. It was all like, if you fail in these 8, 9 subjects, well, you're nothing. So I think that was a very demotivating and stressful period. And I really, yeah.
You and I have similar stories. That's good. That's really cool.
I think that's the case with a lot of creative people.
Yes.
Because and especially if you are brought up here, you are demotivated. They will try to erase the creative out of you.
Put you into that mold.
If you survive, you make it. Funny story. I had a guy who used to design posts. Like he was a graphic designer. I am telling you, he was one of the best graphic designers I knew. So I used to give him some freelance work back in the day. Advance said, "Hey, bro, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do this anymore." I was so concerned. I didn't want to poke into his personal business, let it go.
Yeah.
And I asked him, "Why did you stop?" Oh no, my parents, they just said it's not a stable career, so on and so forth. I tell you now, he's working at a bank doing a desk job with all, even to this day. And it really broke my heart to hear that.
Yeah.
But that's what happens.
That's crazy. Yeah, I feel that pain. It took me like I went through what you went through at 30. So 19, 30, So that's a good thing that happened to you early. So let's jump into the startup you started. And you mentioned that you made a bunch of mistakes and stuff like that. Before you jumped into the startup, what gave you the courage to start the startup? And then tell me what happened.
Like I told you, my mentor, he said, I think I know you'll be good at this. You follow this, pursue this, and all of that. So COVID struck, and all of us were stuck at home.
Yeah.
And I live with my mom. I used to live, I'm married now. I used to live with my mom and my sister and my grandmother. I had a room, I had a decent tech setup of a laptop and a monitor and my speakers and all of that. And then what I realized was a couple of my friends started businesses during COVID, delivering stuff and all of that. And I realized all those businesses were short lived. A month, couple of weeks, couple of months. So then I did some research and I found out that there wasn't a particular body in Sri Lanka that was devoted or which purpose was to help startups. There was a lot of agencies, even in this very building we are in now, there were a lot of agencies. Brilliant minds, brilliant work, all that. But there wasn't anybody that wanted to position themselves and help startups.
Right.
The idea hit me. I thought I'm going to create a startup development agency. That was my idea. So lo and behold, I launched my business, CapitalReach. I registered it, all of that. I got a few clients in and I got stuff rolling. So I focus on a couple of key points. Agencies are expensive. Most businesses can't afford it, let alone startups.
Yeah.
So I let the entry level to the pricing be very affordable. In fact, I used to do some work for a certain brand that I personally saw potentially. I said, I'll do it for you now. You pay me later. Not a problem. Simply because I was building my story. I wanted to have something to prove to people and say, hey, look, I did this, right? So it started like that. I got a couple of clients in, couple of clothing brands, couple of, delivery guys, couple of, there was this grocery brand, so on and so forth. Yeah, so it was a very diverse market because there were so many startups trying to make it out of the COVID time. So it was in that season that, I kind of capitalized on it. I had a small listing. I'm very proud to say this. Even at that time, I had about 3 people working for me from home.
That's cool.
Yeah, at that particular time, handling my little clients and all of that.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It was to me at least.
It should be a big deal. Yeah.
It was to me at least. And then, everything was going good. But then you also mentioned the mistakes. I'll tell you straight away. The biggest mistake I made, now this is very important if you're a creative person. I believe as a creative myself, it's not enough simply to be creative because my money management was terrible.
I see it.
So here I am doing this good work. And I'm telling you, if you ask anybody that I have worked with in that season and you ask them what kind of work did you get, it was really good stuff. In fact, I'll even show you some stuff when we're done with this.
Yeah.
It was really good stuff. But as the clients kept coming in and, people kept coming in, the money started coming in, I simply took a creative. I never thought about the money. I never thought about what next. I didn't know what working capital was. I didn't know, okay, now I'm being creative is fine, but how do I scale that creativity?
Right.
How do I reach people? So, I did a bunch of stuff for myself in terms of the business. At that particular time, I got a really top influencer to run my TikTok with. Yeah. And she did some brilliant work. It was expensive back then. Was it necessary? No, because I didn't get any leads of TikTok. It was just so that people know I exist, my business exists. So the mismanagement of finances throughout the line eventually killed CapitalReach. That's what happened. That was the main reason. A secondary reason to add to that, uh, it's not easy to admit, but I believe creative people need a lot of time. I personally enjoy just sitting in front of my laptop or my computer. I'm not talking about doom scrolling or just wasting time, but I like to just sit in silence and think, or just sketch, or just like consume a piece of content that is just completely weird. In doing that, I also started slacking because the more clients I got, it required me to do more work at a pace that wasn't matching up to my creative output. So definitely the financial mismanagement was number one, but number two was because of that habit. And I don't think it's a bad habit. I just think that's what kind of spews out your creativity.
Yeah.
But that was the second habit that kind of put stuff, because because as a creative person, when you're in that industry, you want to do the best for everybody. I don't believe in dishing out the same thing for client A, B, C, and D.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the time I take for client A has to be given to client B, C, and D.
Yeah.
By the time A goes to Z, you are lost by the letter E.
Yeah.
So
Have you figured out a solution for that?
to be honest with you, I'm not that experienced. I'm still 25. But I believe my creativity now, it comes out of the knowledge that I have. So what I do is I like to consume anything. Now, even as we are talking here, my eye goes to the gentleman's oversized shirt and the branding there. I'm thinking, who did that? I'm thinking, it's a block font. It's an interesting form of branding. It takes up a lot of space on the t-shirt.
Yeah.
At some point down the line, when I go back to my job, I'm going to bring that into perspective. Or I can look at what's on your t-shirt, and like, I believe that it's a lot of things that I consume. When the moment is needed for me to create something, I feel like all of those kind of connect in my head, and I'm just like,
Right.
and then I refine it, I fine-tune it, and take it from there.
So what you're saying is you don't spend as much time as you used
can't.
to. You can't. So do you not allow that time anymore, or how do you?
I try my best to allow it, because it's very important that consuming part is where I allow that time. It can be anything, no matter how tired I am. When I get to bed, I will spend about a good 20-30 minutes just consuming.
Yeah.
Because being creative also, it's something that changes. Like almost every second, your creative is challenged.
Yeah.
The only way you can stay ahead of that is just by consuming, thinking.
First of all, I wanted to mention thanks for being so vulnerable. That takes a lot of guts to say those things. So now that I look about those things, when you've met those setbacks, how do you stay creatively motivated to do what you're doing?
It's like this. To me, at a certain point, it was all about the money. It started off with, oh, this is a good source of income. Yeah. To the point where it was a hyper moment of me telling everybody, I love my job. To this date, I tell my wife, I tell my friends, I am so blessed to have the job that I had. Because imagine, no matter how demotivated you get, every opportunity you have is an opportunity to create something.
Yeah.
And I have created billboards and banners and commercials and digital commercials and stuff that have been viewed by millions of people.
Wow.
That makes me so happy. So to answer your question, yes, there is a sense of demotivation, obviously, because I believe that there's no one gets made more fun of than creative people.
Yes, 100%.
Because even if you go to an employer, they'll either want you to replicate someone else's idea, or they'll want you to do it their way. So the creative person is constantly at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because he is the only one that is convinced of his idea, or she.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So to me, it was no matter how many people, said, oh, it may not be a good idea, I don't know, whatever. I am grateful to have worked with people like Basil, who also put that trust in me and said, okay, you know what, this is a weird concept, but go ahead. So I think that is something that's an advantage. But I think it's important to keep, you have to always keep encouraging yourself to take the journey. If you don't, no matter how creative you are, you can end up behind a desk doing a 9 to 5. But yeah, I hope you're doing well.
I hope so too. If you're watching, please
Yes.
listen to this man and get back into doing illustrative works. We're at Hatch and a lot of founders here. As a creative marketer, digital marketer, how would you recommend them to tell their story and market their brand?
First of all, shout out to Hatch.
Yeah.
Hatch has been a place that I've seen from far. I've attended a couple of events here as well. But it has been, and I know the founder bit, it has been a location that constantly nurtured creativity, nurtured taking a risk, nurtured taking that first step, and that's brilliant. But to answer your question, one founder to the other, what people miss to understand nowadays is that you are different from me. If the four of us in this room start 4 different businesses, we have to decide and have the boldness to take our own journey. I employ back into the picture Pepper Street launched years ago. From the time we launched to now, do you know how many Sri Lankan clothing brands have started and closed? No one knows it's that much. I personally know a few of my friends that also started clothing brands, spent millions, put it in. Why? Most of the time, people try to follow somebody else's journey. Where's the creativity in that? Where's the authenticity in that? I'm not saying everything we do is completely 100% authentic, because I do believe that there's nothing original under the sun.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
It's just the person that tweaks it the right way gets the job done. So my advice to the founders would be, coming from me, I would say, if you are a founder, if you have your business, take your own journey. Don't be afraid to do your own thing. Because it's like this. Every big business, every big company had the guts and the boldness to take their own journey. Every mediocre company copied someone.
Yeah, that's true.
You can throw all your stones at Apple. You can throw all your stones. They do what they want, when they want it, how they want it, in the scale they want. They are not trying to fight with Samsung that launches 55 models of phones a year. They're trying to compete with Xiaomi. They're not trying to compete with it. Most important thing is that you understand your strengths, your weaknesses. You go your journey. That's how you create something. If not, you don't create a business, you create a clone.
Right. So you see a lot of talk about people not being authentic, especially online and things like that. How can one be authentic?
It's not easy. Being authentic takes guts. Do you know why? You have to own up to every single flaw you have. It's not a bad thing. To the outside, you might know people that have certain things that they don't like about.
Yes.
It's the same with me. I know I'm not liked as much as I want to be.
Same.
But it's okay. The reason, I believe at least, is when you are fully when you have fully understood who you are, what you can do, what you can't do, what you want to do, what you're good at, what you're bad at. You have to have the guts to own up to it. I am not afraid to come here, sit down in front of you and your viewers and say, I was not good at math. That's me being authentic. If I come here and tell you I was brilliant at math and one of my teachers see this, they're going to email you,
Right.
they're going to flag this video for misinformation, and we are going to have a whole bunch. No, that's the thing.
Right.
So I believe being authentic is simply understanding and coming to terms with the fact of who you are. And then walking out and saying, hey, this is me. My friends say this is me. Because there's no point of putting out a facade that you're not.
Right. But more than important, like what you just said, it's like you know who you are. You don't have to pretend.
You don't have to. It's like this, if you're an actor, right? It's the easiest role an actor can play is themselves. The hardest role they play is when they have to embody somebody else.
Correct.
That's the best example for authenticity that I can give you.
I like that.
The easiest role an actor can play is themselves.
Yeah. Because that's why they're actor, no? They're good at playing anybody else. But yeah, that's really good. How do you build trust when you're collaborating with the team, especially creatives?
What team?
and let's just say in your situation, marketing, right? And then you work with a ton of creative people, and creative people come with their own baggage. So how do you build that kind of collaboration and then trust within that team to follow your direction?
It's simple. Again, to me at least. Right? It may not be the case, but I feel like once you hear what I'm about to say, you'll be like, okay, that makes sense. He's not coming from a arrogant point of view. He just knows what he's experienced, right? When it comes to creative people, you have to understand one thing. The creative person role is unlike any other job role. You're not hiring an accountant, you're not hiring an auditor, you're not hiring someone that is set to do task A, B, C. You're hiring someone that you want to take you from A to C, and the in between journey is more or less their responsibility. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right. So when I work with the team, I love to do this, and I do it every morning. You can ask the people I work with in the team under me. As I get to work with my bag, I would say, guys, come and have a seat in front of my table. I talk to them. I paint the picture of what our goals are, what our challenges are, who are our competitors, and I just paint that picture just so that they know this is the space in which that we are competing or that we are in. Once I do that, I always, because it's like this, as somebody that talks about, I was not encouraged to be creative in school, it would be hypocritical of me to snip somebody else's wings now just because I have the power to do so.
I love that.
So I will always give the benefit of the doubt to somebody that is creative and say, this is what I want you to do. Get me from here to there. And I will first let that first draft always come in. You can ask anyone, any photographer, any agency I work with. I would always say, certain people, certain photographers, yes, do this. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that I need to tweak, very nicely and humbly, I'll go and say, this particular part I don't like. At that part, I tell him in a way or she in a way that they can tell me back, but I think this is okay. And there have been times, 7 out of 10 times, that they have been right, and I have told them, let's stick with that person. If you take that approach to working with creative people, it's not that hard.
You yourself is not saying like my vision is correct.
No, that's not creativity. That's dictatorship.
Because usually creative people have that kind of tendency to be like, no, my vision is always.
See, it's like this. I think that's an ignorant take. Do you know why? You know how creative you are, right? As an individual.
Yeah.
You know how creative you are. Just imagine the power of you into 3.
Right.
You have to have the humility to understand there can be someone with a better idea than you. When you have that understanding and you rub them the right way, the result is astronomical.
That's one of the reasons I started this podcast, because creative people like yourself and myself, we've gone through shit to be here. Sorry to cuss, but like we've gone through worse to be here, to come to this point of like at least accepting that you're a creative, right? And then on top of that, now we have to like navigate in this all of this stuff. Point is, if we use creativity to connect with ourselves, get to know ourselves, which creativity, every time you get into that flow state, I believe that every time you learn something about yourself. Absolutely. If you do it right? And if you allow that thinking time. It's funny, I do the same thing. I allow myself to be there and just like let the thoughts flow and learn what's happening and all of those things. And then comes clarity. So more and more, if we do that, then I believe creatives become healthier. The reason I can agree with you now and say humility is important is because I have come to that same understanding, which didn't happen out of nowhere. I didn't just start believing because somebody told me. I had to first take the time to know who I am, my weaknesses, and all of those things to be able to say, no. There is so much more value in people's creativity.
The best way to develop that humility is to put yourself with people better than you. You mentioned the whole musician thing. I sing at my church, and I sing with 2 of arguably the best singers in the country. They're 2 ladies.
Yeah.
And there used to be a time, and I'm sure if there was this, but there used to be a time where I used to think, I don't think there's a song that I can't sing. Until I realized that's true. There may be not a song that I can't sing. But that same song sung from another person sounds how it's supposed to sound. Now I'm completely comfortable with it. Now if I know a song and I hear it and I go, this one, that's your song, just please. And that approach to life makes everything so much easier. Number one is you have more peace.
Yes.
Number two is your output becomes phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now it's not just your mind.
So I want to end this with this question. So a lot of creatives who are watching this and must be wondering like how did like Ryan saying I'm supposed to be humble and all of those things. What is your advice to them to become like a healthy creative?
My advice in becoming a healthy creative to anyone is like we've been going back and forth on this podcast has been understand yourself, understand your strength, understand your weaknesses. Yes, while that is important, you have to understand that this is not a race. If you want to do the creative work, you can't rush it for anything.
Yes.
When I say rush it, I also mean you can't be too hard on yourself. You can't be too lenient with yourself, but you also have to be lenient with yourself. Sounds like a big conundrum, but because it's like this, a lot of creative people that I know, I've worked at an agency also in this process. Heavy smokers, heavy drinkers. You know why that is? So much pressure.
Yeah.
I have to create. I have to deliver. That one is waiting for this. This one is waiting for that. Oh, so every 10 minutes out of the office, like I said, it's not rocket science, but it's not easy also. You have to build those things about yourself where you give yourself a break every now and then, where you understand and you have to segregate time to sit down and breathe. With creatives, this might be controversial, but I don't believe that a creative is supposed to be constantly creating.
I agree.
If you're a creative and you think your journey forward is working at an agency or working at a digital media company, you shouldn't be sitting on your laptop creating content 24/7.
Yes.
At some point, they have the ability to do what your school did to you and kill them. I've seen it happen. One graphic designer will get 12 clients. So on how to do 12 posts, how to do. What does he do? He goes to stock images, Photoshop, puts. Not becoming healthy creative. If at all you're becoming more unhealthy because you're in one place doing nothing and eating and drinking and if you have bad habits, you're smoking, you're drinking, all of that. To sum it up, give yourself a break. But also, like I said, you can't be too lenient with yourself, but you also have to be lenient. You can't be too hard on yourself. You also have to be.
It's almost as if you would treat yourself as if you were treating your younger self.
Yeah, because now it's phenomenal that you brought that up. When you were mentioning that, what I was thinking was, man, if I could have taken care of little Ryan,
Right.
who went through all that mental torment simply because everybody thought I was autistic. Can I say that word?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, autism is that's okay.
I don't know. Everybody, like, they used to look at me like, because they put me to special classes for subjects. Now, I'm a normal person built to doubt myself. Yeah, St. Joseph's College has a special class and learn extra about the thing that you already don't want to do, that you're already not good at.
Oh my gosh.
So, thank you for bringing that up because I would be very kind to that person and know, hey man, it's not the end of the world. You have to give yourself some room. And I think that's the case with any job. We've seen in Sri Lanka, people committing suicide and writing in the note, I did it because my job was too pressurized. It happened a while ago. I don't remember the story exactly, but in Sri Lanka it happened. And in the suicide note, he had mentioned, which means because the pressure of my job was too much, I took this decision. How sad.
Dang, I don't even know where to go from that. It makes me more inspired to kind of talk about what I'm talking about as far as encouraging people to create. And I believe everyone's creative. Whether you're at a startup in problem solving or artistic or whatever type of thing, creativity should be part of everybody's life, and they should give more time to think and things like that. Brian, that's all I have, man. I really, really am grateful for you being with your busy schedule. Yeah, and is there anything you would like to tell the audience?
Thank you for having me and for bringing up all of this stuff. I hope more than anything, this helps someone.
Yes.
The main reason I said yes and I want to do this with you also is because I identified in you that you were someone that was doing a podcast for a purpose.
Yes.
I've seen podcasts that start for the sake of it because we need to have podcasts. But I realized, okay, this man has a vision. I didn't go and check your following and you know what is the audience. I'm glad you didn't. No, I didn't. Because when I first interaction with you was at the store.
Yes.
And this guy has a mission. And I somehow meet on social media. So thank you for having me. Thank you for what you do. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Continue to create, continue to inspire.
Thank you. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep going on your own creative odyssey. Till next time, see you later.